Hello, colleagues who will be attending the Invasive Insects Grand Challenges and Entomology Summit in Vancouver. On Saturday, November 10th, we're going to do something novel in an effort to shape the narrative of invasive insect species. 200 experts will be divided into 4 subgroups, roughly 50 members each, for the 4 subtopics: prevention, detection, response, policy. I'm being brought in to work with you on this. Who am I? A former tenured professor of marine biology who became a filmmaker, then wrote 3 books on the communication of science, including Houston, We Have a Narrative, which is all about narrative structure. So, for our exercise, I'm going to help focus the discussions using 2 narrative tools I've developed. The first is a tool that helps you boil down your narrative to a single sentence. It's called the ABT, which stands for the words and, but, therefore. These are the structural elements to help you craft a single sentence version of your message. Not everything to do with your topic, just the core of it. The ABT helps frame the 3 core elements of setup, problem, solution, using the words and, but, therefore. An example of an ABT would be something like, wetlands are essential parts of coastal ecosystems and have great commercial value, but habitat destruction now threatens much of what remains. Therefore, we are surveying coastal regions. Here's how you don't want to do it. Wetlands are essential parts of coastal ecosystems and home to large numbers of migratory birds and high diversity of insects, and poor planning has destroyed many of them, and it's well known how important they are economically. So here's an example of the ABT in action. In 2016, the International Coral Reef Society needed to compose a short statement to be read in their 1-minute time slot at the Paris climate meeting. 2 work sessions failed to get the statement down to less than 5 minutes length. There were so many points everyone felt had to be mentioned. But then a scientist suggested using the ABT. The committee quickly agreed on a couple of essential setup facts about what coral reefs are and their value worldwide. Then they got to the problem using the word however, which is the same as but. Then finally the therefore, which was a paragraph, and ended up being the 1-minute statement that was read. That's the power of the ABT. People are now having a lot of success with the ABT, as reflected by its presentation by the National Park Service last year in a report, its inclusion in the IPCC Communications Handbook this year, and the fact that it's at the core of our Story Circles narrative training program that has involved over 1,000 scientists so far. So in a time when people are talking about the narrative of this and the narrative of that, the ABT is the tool to help you boil down what the narrative really is. The other tool we'll be using is the ultimate in simplicity, in that it helps you find the one word that's at the core of your issue. I derived it from the famous quote from geneticist Theodosius Dobzhansky, who said, "Nothing in biology makes sense except in the light of evolution." So the template is nothing in blank makes sense except in the light of blank. In a discussion with the organizers for our upcoming event, it was already suggested that a starting point for one of the topics might be nothing in the response to invasive insect species makes sense except in the light of flexibility. We're not positive that's definitely the word for response, but it's at least a good starting point for figuring out what is the right word. This one-word template can be very powerful in communication. We've run 40 Story Circles groups that met for the 10 one-hour sessions, many of whom have reported that over the long term, the one word is often the most powerful narrative tool. Of course, neither of these tools can capture everything to do with a topic, but they're both essential in an age where we're all suffering from information overload. When it comes to broad communication, just saying it's complicated is no longer adequate. We're all faced with this challenge of shaping the narrative into a form that most everyone can understand what's the most important parts of it. So as you prepare for the Vancouver meeting, we encourage you to give some thought to both of these tools for your subgroup. If everyone can show up already knowing what the ABT and Dobzhansky templates are, the discussion will begin at a much more advanced level. So thanks for your time and interest in this. I look forward to seeing all of you in Vancouver for what promises to be a very novel and productive session.